we're going to have Jerry Reynolds, the Car Pro, and his website is Car Pro USA. He is on, he's on Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. How's it going, Jerry?
Well, good morning. It's going very well. Thank you very much.
Well, so what car did you test drive this week?
Oh, I tell you what, I've had a good week this week. I've had the 2017 Mercedes SL450. This is a retractable hardtop convertible, and this is the largest convertible that Mercedes makes. And I tell you what, it's just an outstanding car. It's pricey, of course, as you would expect. It's $108,000 on the window sticker. But if you're in that market and in that price range, I'll tell you what, this car is a lot of fun to drive and still gets pretty good gas mileage, believe it or not, even though it's got a large engine under the hood.
So how was the weather? I think you're in the Dallas area, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How's was the weather good enough that you could have the top down and kind of drive around a little bit?
A little bit in the afternoons, but I film a video with whatever I'm doing a review on. And I had to do that yesterday morning. And so I'm running around Las Colinas, around Irving, Texas, with the top down, running 60 miles an hour when it's like 48 degrees outside. So you got the heater blowing as hard as you can, and
yeah.
that's part of the package.
Got the wind blowing through your hair though in your video, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do this car's just too pretty with the top down not to showcase it. But, you know, and I said it in the review, it's one of the few cars that, in my opinion, looks as good with the top up as it does with the top down. When the top's up, you can't even tell it's convertible because it's a retractable hardtop. Yeah. So it just looks like a two-door car.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you had a much better time this week than last week. So.
Yeah, I did. I when I had the QX30 Infiniti last week, I tell you what, it was a night and day. Now, next week I've got a car coming up that a lot of people have asked me about, and I've had trouble getting one because they're selling so well that they tend not to put them into the press pool. But I've got the 2017 Lincoln Continental coming up next week,
nice,
which is a beautiful car, and lots of people interested in this car.
Yeah,
so we'll see how that goes.
Nice-looking cars.
Yes, they are.
Okay. On your website, you've got a new article out. It's a factory MSRP. Don't fall prey to the ad. Can you tell us a little bit about that article?
Yeah, I tell you, it's a trend that I've noticed over the past few years. It's really bugging me because you hear a lot about bait and switch in the auto industry, and that's been going on since the first guy ever discounted a car off the window sticker. But now the factory's getting into it, and that bothers me. It was like that Infiniti last week. If you go to Infiniti.com, look at the website, and look up the QX30, the first thing you see is starting from $29,950. And you go, wow, that's really good for a luxury SUV. But what they don't tell you there is that doesn't include the transportation charges or any options. For instance, the one that I drove last week, although it says $29,950 on the website, the final price was $46,000 and some change.
Yeah.
And I think that's misleading. And I cited several other examples, and it looks to me like it's more coming from the luxury car lines than anybody else. And that's the ones you would think wouldn't need to do that. But when I got into analyzing it, Matt, what I found was the reason that they do it is for searches. When people go on and say they want a SUV for under $30,000, that Infiniti is going to show up, although it's false. You can't buy one for $29,950, period.
Right.
And that's what I was pointing out in the article, to not get too wrapped up in some of these base prices that you see out there.
Yeah. Okay, and have there been any recalls recently?
Yeah, well, every day.
Yeah.
The biggest one was Hyundai yesterday on the Sonata, which is one of their most popular cars. They're recalling a little over 1 million because of a seatbelt issue. And we saw a couple of other relatively small ones this week, but the Takata airbag one continues to be the big one. There's still over 60 million cars out there with defective airbags running around.
Yeah. And
so that continues. And then the other big news from yesterday was President Trump saying that he would review the future corporate average fuel economy guidelines, which say that by 2025, which isn't very long from now, every car's got to average 54.5 miles per gallon. I think anybody inside the industry can tell that's not going to happen.
Right.
The fuel economy today is the highest average it's ever been, but we're still a long way from that. The problem is they've done all the easy things to get it up to where it is now. They'll never make it to 54.
Yeah, next is the expensive stuff, so hopefully they can get that down a little bit.
Jerry,
yeah, I hope so.
Jerry, this is the other Matt. What did you think about the emission standard discussion yesterday? Do you think the car companies are going to embrace that, or did you think it matters to them?
I think that they've done about all that they can. And, the electric cars and some of the hybrids can change that picture. But, with $2 gas, people are embracing those cars at this time. They still want their big trucks and their big SUVs. And I'm a free market guy. I say, hey, if people want to buy that and they can afford a Chevy Suburban, let them buy their Chevy Suburban. So, we'll see where it shakes out. California drives this discussion. I mean, the California Air Resources Board really seems to have more power than the EPA. And that's probably going to become more prevalent because, as we know from the president's proposed budget, he's cutting the EPA funding by 30%. So they're going to have less time and less resources to get out there and monitor these things.
Yeah. Jerry, I've got one other question for you. Texas is looking at possibly getting rid of safety inspections. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's become just a revenue builder.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I think it's a good idea. It's an antiquated thing. 40 states already don't have them. The other law that they're looking at that I think is something that consumers would like is getting rid of front license plates. What a waste of resources and money to have a front license plate on a car these days.
And a lot of the cars have it where they don't even have room for one, like your Corvettes or whatever, and they don't really have a spot for them. They have to kind of build one.
I've got in my driveway that I own a Corvette and a Range Rover. Yeah. Neither one of them even have the holes for a front license plate.
You got to drill into the car. It's got to hurt.
Yeah.
It's got to make you cry just a little bit.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, fellas.
All right. Thank you very much. You have a good day.
Have a good one.